He's been speaking to some miners, one man who's been a miner safely, as he put it, for 68 years. So we'll listen for a minute here. This is Abingdon, Virginia.
Mining jobs since 2014, and it's not a long period of time, 200,000 jobs. And the senator brought up a fact, and a couple of the folks brought this up, and it's a fact that nobody's heard, but enduring times of national problems, where we're talking about the defense of our country, having those mines and having that potential energy source available to us is an awfully important thing. It's an awfully important thing, and nobody thinks in terms of that. They don't think in terms of that. And I fully understand that. But it's been an honor. We just met with some of the folks, really representatives, I would say. Senator, I would say representatives from every aspect of the business, right? And it was amazing. It was really amazing. These are great people. They're great Americans. They love this country. And if I get in, I mean, you know, it's if I get in, this is what it is, okay? And other forms of energy, all forms of energy. But what they've done to the miners is incredible in the Obama administration. And you remember, and I think you might have just seen it, yeah, know what they've done. And nobody knows, you know, clean coal, nobody knows why. You look at what's happening with China, the amount of energy they're producing and what they're using coal for. Tremendous amounts of, just tremendous. It's like incredible. And they're not cleaning it. Believe me, they're not cleaning it. We have a very, very small planet compared to the universe, right? And that stuff is going up, and they're not cleaning it. And here we produce great stuff, and we're not allowed to use it, and it's getting worse and worse. So they're going to be out of business soon. Hillary Clinton will be worse than Obama. You know it. She'll be worse. Don't forget, when she made the statement, going to put the mines and essentially going to put the mines and miners out of business. Going to put them out of business. And I guess she forgot about West Virginia, right? She was going to West Virginia. She forgot about Virginia too, in all fairness, you know. But, you know, she had West Virginia right after, short time after that. And you remember when she went into West Virginia, she met with that wonderful family. And the man, a miner for many years, and he was trying to explain to her, and she was trying to say, well, you know, I really want to keep you. She didn't know. She was groveling. She was groveling. She didn't know what to say. I don't think he was going to be easily convinced. Do we agree? Because she said it. Just like she said, and, you know, she said it was a mistake, that she's going to raise taxes in the middle class. You saw that one? Nah, maybe she misspoke. I mean, we have to give him a break. But it did come out awfully loud and clear. I don't know. Hey, look, hopefully it won't matter, okay? Hopefully it's not going to matter because she's not going to get the chair. But what I told the folks before, we were over at Peterbilt, the plant, incredible. But what I told the folks before is that you have to get out and vote. Because, you know, the miners, to a certain extent, they're so down and they've been treated so badly that they haven't been voting. They haven't been going out and voting like they can. And that includes members of their family that have left the mining business, members of the family, they've left coal. They've left everything. And they've gone into something else, and that's fine. That's great. But they live in Virginia, and they vote. And their parents are still in the coal world where they want to be. And that's where they want to be. But everybody has to get out and vote. If you get out and vote, we're pretty close in Virginia, and she's spending a fortune on ads. A friend of mine said he can't see television without seeing anti-Trump ads. And they're not even true. My friend actually said, they're not true. I said, I know. I could go over those ads one by one and show you it's fraudulent, actually. But what are you going to do? She's spending Wall Street money on ads, and it's just one after another, and this guy kiddingly said, I just want to see one Ivory soap ad, one, just to break it. And we haven't spent anything yet. We will be. because we're doing well. But we haven't spent anything yet. We're holding it. But it's really a shame that they can say whatever they want to say. They try and demean and defame. And then you look at what she's doing with her emails. 33,000 missing emails. Yeah, 33,000. Yeah. It's very sad. And then I guess yesterday 1,000 came out or something, some fairly vast number. Oh, I want to see the ones what I really would like to see, though. We have to see the 33,000. Can you imagine? Remember, she said, I think it was for her wedding, the wedding of Chelsea, and it was for yoga classes. 33,000 emails. It's a lot of yoga. It's a lot of yoga. But a couple of very bad ones came out, and it's called Pay for Play. And some of these were really, really bad and illegal. If it's true, it's illegal. You're paying and you're getting things. I mean, I watched yesterday, because of The Apprentice, Blagojevich, right? Governor Blagojevich, 14 years in jail. And, you know, some people think, okay, some people think it's crazy. Look at what she's done. Nothing. She's running for president. But it came out that her people pay for play. And very big stories today. The problem is it'll be big stories for about 2 minutes, and then they're going to drop it because the media is so totally dishonest. So totally. If that were me, the story that just came out this morning and really hidden from some of the major newspapers, hidden. If that were me, that would be the biggest story in the history of the various papers. They'd go quadruple spacing, boom, Trump. But with her, it's just terrible. I mean, some of them covered it big league, but some of them are just refusing to really report the facts. And I think it's going to get worse and worse, though, because I assume more stuff will come out. But this was big stuff. Pay for play. It's illegal. I mean, it's illegal. And we'll see what happens with it, folks. We'll see what happens with it. But it's very serious stuff. It's very, very serious. I don't know that it can be any more serious than deleting or getting rid of 33,000 emails and all of the other things, the server, which you're not allowed to have. The information gotten off that server by who knows who, probably many people, many countries potentially, Secretary of State to put us all in that position. So I think it's a very sad thing. And they give her a pass on everything. Give her a pass. It's so sad when I watched that. And it was point after point after point. And everybody was saying, wow, they're really going to do it. And then they go, however, and as soon as I heard, you know, when you hear the word, however, but it's just so incredible that a thing like that could happen. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. In the meantime, we're doing very well. You saw the polls over the last day or two have really tightened up a lot. I think we're going to have a great victory. I really feel it. I think we're going to have a great victory. One of the things I suggested is your ballots, you go and sign, do it early so you don't have to, because on November 8th we have our big day. And if you go in and sign, we have some people in the room now that I met before. They're going to be pushing hard, but put in your ballots. They have certain requirements, and you live by those requirements perfectly. Make sure they don't lose your ballot. Make sure they don't lose your vote, which I'm sure, you know, and I just left a great place, North Carolina, and they just had a tremendous loss, voter ID. Voter ID. They lost voter ID. How do you lose voter ID? You mean you don't have to show identification? You don't have to show that, hey. And then you say, you know, I've been talking about the rig system for a long time, and I get hammered in the press for talking about, oh, I can't believe he'd be talking about the rig system. And then in the meantime, voter ID you don't have to do. And I'm sure none of those folks would be voting 10 times during one day, right? I'm sure a thing like that. But I get it. And really, a big part of the rig system is the press itself, because they can take a little story that isn't a story and make it into a big deal. Happens so much. Happens so much. And speaking of that, remember this. We have so many things that we have to protect in this country. We have to protect our Second Amendment, which is under siege. Remember that. Remember that. It's under siege. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We have to, I see, and by the way, we have a lot of unity in the Republican Party, but nobody talks about it. If one senator says, we're not voting for Trump, never Trump, some people were beaten so badly that they just can't get there. And I understand that. I mean, I can see how that can happen. So, they've won throughout their lives politically, and then they lose an election by a lot to a guy that never ran before, okay? I never ran before. Never thought I'd be doing it this time either, but I watch what's going on and I say, it's time. It's time. Boy, is it time, right? I look at the Iran deal. How about the $400 million in cash? How about that? How about that? The 400 million. You know what that is? Does anybody know what that would even look like? 400. And did you see Iran actually finally did do what I thought they were going to do? They released pictures because they want to embarrass the United States. Just like they took the 10 sailors and they made us look so bad. They made us look so bad. It was like a humiliation of our country. Okay, this is horrible. And then we keep going and going. And you saw what their so-called leader, somebody would say the supreme leader. I refuse to use that term. President Obama would say the supreme leader. What is going on, folks? What is going on with our leaders and with our leader in particular? He is grossly incompetent, okay? Grossly incompetent. So they have $400 million in cash going. It happens to be the same day as the hostages were released. The hostages were in the airport for massive amounts of time. And I guess one of them said they wouldn't let us go because they were waiting for a certain plane to come in. And I just can't imagine what was on that plane, right? We can't imagine. Sure, it had nothing to do with the $400 million. But isn't that unbelievable? And then he'll stand up and he'll say that one thing had nothing to do with the other. And that practically, I guess you could say, there's a 1 or 2% chance that, that what he said is right. But that's about it. They would practically, they're saying they're waiting for something else on a plane to come in, right? And they were at the airport forever. And they say, and President Obama said, no, this had nothing to do with the hostages. And, if you remember with Obamacare, he said you can keep your plane, you can keep your doctor, you have your doctor, you have your plan. How many times? He said it 28 times or something. And many Democrats approved that disaster. It's a disaster. We're going to repeal it and replace it, by the way. But many Democrats would not have approved, won by almost nothing. The margin was almost nothing. And a lot of Democrats approved it. They didn't want to approve it. But, with the doctor and the plan and over again, a lot of pressure put on. And it's out of control. Premiums are going up at a rate that nobody has ever seen before. In Texas, through Blue Cross Blue Shield, they just had almost a 50% increase. And the big increase is now going to come on November 1st. And they're trying to delay it till after the election because it is catastrophic. It is going to be an increase like never before. I'm hearing numbers that I don't even want to say because the press will say, oh, that's terrible, he exaggerated. It's not going to be an exaggeration. It's going to be election changing. And we can't let those numbers be released on another date sometime after the election. because it will show what a total disaster Obamacare is. So important. So I just say to all of the politicians in the room and your great congressman, who's a terrific guy. Where is he, by the way? Yeah, he's here. Oh, Congressman, stand up. Stand up. Vote for him. He's our guy. Senator, stand up, Senator. Come on, Senator. Good. Now, you have great people here. So right now they're swimming uphill. But with Trump, we'll be just sliding beautifully down. It'll be a whole different deal. It'll be a whole different deal. And it can happen quickly. It can happen. We discussed that. We had a big meeting and we discussed it. It's going to happen very quickly. Doesn't need to go through Congress and doesn't need to go through lots of different things. EPA is very important, what they've done. And we want, everybody agrees, we want clean air and we want clean water. Do we agree? I want. So I very much appreciate the meeting. It was a great meeting. I just want to say that Virginia has lost 1 in 3 manufacturing jobs since NAFTA. Now, NAFTA was signed by Bill Clinton. NAFTA is a disaster. It's been a disaster not only for Virginia, but for virtually every state. Upstate New York, it looks like a war zone. That's why I won so much. And I got the upstate vote in numbers that nobody's seen before. Upstate New York, you go to New England, you see the factories, these beautiful old factories that you see, they were once thriving, thousands and thousands of people working. And those people now are doing part-time jobs. They're working 2 jobs. They're making less money than they made 18 years ago. I don't know if you saw that statistic, where people, and people in this room too, but where people are making less money now in real wages than they made 18 years ago, and even longer. And they've gotten older, and they're working harder. It's not supposed to be that way. Hey, of course, I've gotten older and I'm working harder too, to be honest with you. I didn't need this. I could have enjoyed myself a lot. We're all getting older and we're working hard. It's supposed to be, it's supposed to be the other way, right? We're getting older and starting to relax. No, it's not working. I don't know. I don't know if I'd like that. I love what I'm doing. I have been all over this country. We have the greatest people anywhere in the world, the greatest people. And I have the greatest supporters. We have the most loyal supporters. And the smartest. They always like to demean everything. They try and demean supporters. They're always trying to put a little knock, little shots. Boom, boom, boom. We've got the smartest. We've got the most loyal. We've got the hardest working. We have the best people. They like to demean. But we have just amazing people. And I've seen this all over the country. And we can start making Apple computers in our country. Okay, folks? We can start doing we go to China, and you think even the shipping cost, when you just think of it, the shipping cost, how much of a difference and you bid at all the different states and you'll get the good deal from somebody. Just keep it in our country. When they close plants and they move to Mexico, and then a company builds in Mexico whatever product they're making, and then they think they're going to sell the product back into the United States, all of their people have been fired. Every single one of them have been fired. And they're now using people from another nation to make the same product. And you know what? They think they're going to sell it across our border, which, by the way, will become a very powerful, very strong border. Okay, it's no longer going to be a piece of Swiss cheese. And they think they're going to sell it across the border, no tax, no nothing, sell it to wherever it came from, let the people that got laid off buy it, and now maybe they're unemployed, maybe they're working 2 jobs and they're making less, right? As we said. And it's not going to happen, folks. And I've watched for years as our government, which is, I guess you could say stupid, but honestly not so stupid. They're controlled by special interests. When you see companies moving over to Mexico and other places, they're controlled by special interests. They're controlled by lobbyists. They're controlled by their donors who have big chunks of companies or own the whole company. Because these aren't stupid people, our politicians. Some are, but we have a genius right over here. That's all I care about. Some are, but a lot of them are just controlled because that's the way the system works. So you'd think that, like a friend of mine asked me a few weeks ago, how did a deal like this get approved? It's impossible. Unless, there's no way, there's a certain deal that happened with the government. And he said, how is it possible? And he's a little naive. And I said, well, it's possible because that company has total control over the politicians that have to approve. Now, I spent like over $50 million, substantially over $50 million in the primaries, my own money. I spent a lot of money now in the general election, and I'm spending a lot of money for myself. We're also raising a lot of money. We're also getting a lot of money. Don't worry, you don't have to give. Don't give. We're going to straighten this place out, okay? We're going to straighten this place out. But, we have a lot of small donors, $61, I think, average. We raised millions of dollars. In June, we raised actually $51 million, of which like 27 was small donors. 27 million. In last month, we raised $82 million, of which much of it was small. I love the small donations, to me the best. And so I'm spending a lot of money for myself. I'm raising a lot of money for the Republican Party. But the beautiful thing is the people that are giving those small dollar donations, $61 average, because those people are invested in the campaign. They want to see, they get out and vote 100%. They get out there and they vote. And it's so important. And a Republican generally doesn't have that. You know who had it? Bernie Sanders had it. He raised a lot of money with that. And we have a different side of the ledger. But we have the same thing. I mean, we have a tremendous amount. People are shocked. In fact, newspapers that truly hate me put it on the front page. They couldn't believe that. They actually were very nice about it. Because, the month before, we raised nothing. I wanted to make sure I got the nomination, if you don't mind, okay? I wasn't going to go wild. But once we started in June. And in June, I think we did 51 million, and then we did 82 million, and now we have very good numbers coming in again. So we're equipped. We have to get the people out. We have to get them out to vote. But we're equipped. We're going to do a job for you folks, and you're going to be really happy in Virginia, I'll tell you. And I'm not only talking, by the way, I'm not only talking about the miners. I'm talking about the whole state. Because, look, Virginia's lost 1 in 3 manufacturing jobs, right? Since NAFTA, signed by Bill Clinton, a disaster. Didn't hurt him. It hurt every other president. That's where the country emptied out. Without an agreement even signed, the existing U.S. trade deficit with TPP, it's a disaster. Trans-Pacific Partnership is a disaster. It will be as bad, if that's possible. I think NAFTA is the worst economic development deal ever signed by any country anywhere in the world. That's how bad it is. And I said, and as part of my platform, I made a speech the other day, some of you saw it, I said, we're going to renegotiate NAFTA. And they said, well, supposing they don't renegotiate. I said, that's okay, then we're going out. We're out of it. Because it's sucking our jobs out of the country. I tell this story because it's such a perfect story. I could go out and hire a consulting firm, pay them $1 million, and they'll spend months on, telling me what's going on with here and Mexico and the different places, right? But I have much better. I have a friend who builds plants. I said, how you doing? He said, unbelievable. I said, great, it's going well in the United States. He's a U.S. guy. He loves this country. He said, no, Donald, it's going unbelievable in Mexico. He said, we're building some of the greatest plants in the world. He said, he called it the 8th wonder of the world. He said, Mexico is the 8th wonder of the world. I said, how about here? He said, not so good, not so good. Can you believe this? He's an American guy. He wants to build here. But just through years and years, I think he's the biggest in the world at plants, or just one of them. But he builds plants, and he can't believe what's going on in Mexico. Now, that's better than hiring a consulting firm and saying, tell me how we're doing
So
against...
Donald Trump's messaging continues there, and now Hillary Clinton is also speaking. She's holding a rally in Des Moines, Iowa, and is expected to, well, discuss some of the recent controversies. Let's listen in.
1,000 jobs under my plans, and lose more than 33,000 jobs under Donald Trump's plans. So I got to tell you what I believe, which is that if we want to get the economy working for everybody, then we need a campaign that lays out the agenda so people can vote for it, so that when I'm elected, I can tell the Congress, this is what the people of America voted for us to do. So I get pretty excited and pretty carried away, enthusiastic about what we can do because we've done it before. I couldn't believe all that negative, pessimistic talk coming out of the Republican convention. I didn't know what country they were talking about. Of course we have challenges. Yes, we have problems. Of course we do. But there is nothing America can't do if we decide to set some goals and pursue them, because you know what? We are stronger together. And let me say something about what I think is a critical difference between my opponent and myself. Words matter, my friends. And if you are running to be president or you are president of the United States, words can have tremendous consequences. Yesterday, we witnessed the latest in a long line of casual comments from Donald Trump that cross the line. His casual cruelty to a Gold Star family. His casual suggestion that more countries should have nuclear weapons. And now his casual inciting of violence. Every single one of these incidents shows us that Donald Trump simply does not have the temperament to be President and Commander-in-Chief of the United States. So the stakes have never been higher. I am humbled and moved by the Republicans who are willing to stand up and say that Donald Trump doesn't represent their values. Not only as Republicans, but as Americans. I have to tell you, I feel that same sense of responsibility. We may not agree on everything, but this is not a normal election. And I will work hard for the next 3 months to earn the support of anyone willing to put our country first. As a young man said to me in Florida the other day, friends don't let friends vote for Trump. I also think Trump's belief that he alone can fix America's problems is so contrary to who we are as a nation. Our founders set up our country so that we had 3 branches of government that had to work together. We had the federal government, state and local governments that had to work together. And that's what we've done so successfully. And along comes Trump and basically says, I can do this alone. Well, what about the troops on the front lines who rely on each other and support each other? What about our law enforcement officers who rely on each other and support each other? What about our teachers and our educators who rely on each other and support each other? What about our doctors and our nurses who rely on each other and support each other? We know that we're stronger together because we've seen what happens when we work together. And that is exactly what we're going to do, to build on the progress that we've made, to set those goals and go after them together. But I can't do this without your help. I hope you will join this campaign. Please, join us. Join us by texting JOIN, J-O-I-N, to 47246 or go to HillaryClinton.com. We are organizing across Iowa. We're going to be helping people vote early so that they can make sure that their vote will count. We're going to be reaching into every part of this state. And we're going to be talking and listening, as we did way back in April, to learn what's on the minds of Iowans and to figure out what you need from the next president. Now, I know that any election is hard. It's filled with unpredictable twists and turns. But I want you to imagine what you will feel like the day after that election if we have not come
Dueling
together.
rallies, well, one a sort of statement, really, from Donald Trump and now Hillary Clinton out in Des Moines, Iowa. James Hohmann is with us again, national political reporter for The Washington Post, who writes the widely read Daily 202. Starting with Donald Trump, he seemed to be on message today. His advisors tell him you need to be talking about